It's a beautiful day in Greensboro, North Carolina. Today we're going to talk a little about fermented foods, why you should eat it, and what the benefits are for your health. So stay tuned. Your View to Your Health podcast's mission is to educate the public about the options that are available for achieving their best health. The typical medical doctor will only give you a pharmaceutical to ease your symptom. That does not address the root cause of your issue. At A View to Your Health, we take the time to find out what the actual factors are that are causing your symptoms and apply various modalities such as herbs, vitamins, botanicals, homeopathics, and dietary changes to effect your rebalancing. We also utilize various other technologies that help us identify and alleviate your symptoms. Check us our website at aviewtoyourhealth.com for further information or call us at 336-763-2459. You can also see us on Facebook at A View to Your Health. So what is fermented food? Well, like anybody today, you want to find out something, you go on the web. So I did that. I found a good website called Chowhound, and they have a good definition, so I'm going to read it to you verbatim. Fermented things can be the kinds of food that people refer to as acquired taste. But some of the most common things we eat and drink are fermented. The words aged and cured should be your first clue. Fermentation is a process in which food is exposed to bacteria and yeast, either by inoculation or naturally through the air. Beneficial microorganisms beat out the kind that can kill you and eat up the carbohydrates in the food. The results are interesting flavors, textures, and smells. Before refrigeration, curing meats, pickling vegetables, and clabbering milk was the only way to extend the life of perishables. And if fermented foods haven't been cooked, they are really good for you. Cooking kills off the beneficial bacteria. And they got a list of 24 things that you may not realize. I know I didn't realize some of them that are fermented. So I'm just going to read down the list. Coffee, cheese, yogurt, sour cream, cultured buttermilk, creme fraiche, chocolate, wine, beer, country ham, vanilla, vinegar, bread, pickles, sauerkraut, and kimchi, fish sauce, fermented fish, ginger beer, miso, tempeh, natto, marmite, rumptoff, 1,000-year-old egg, aka 1,000-year-old egg, aka century egg, kummis, kombucha, kvass, and rejuvenac. So there's some things in there I never even heard of, and others are interesting information. So you may ask, why is it important to consume fermented foods? Well, if you stand back and look at exactly what's going on, you'll understand. So first of all, our human body is made up of trillions of cells, estimates from 50 to 100 trillion. And as well as those cells of our body, we'll call them the human cells, there are other organisms that take place in our body. So you got bacteria, viruses, fungi, and possibly some other stuff. And that whole collection makes up what they call the microbiome. So that collection of the microbiome is really 10 times more than the human cells. So if we're 50 trillion cells, we have 500 trillion organisms in our body. Now, these are good organisms, things that help us, and bad organisms, things that make us sick. So we want to continue to resupply and keep the inner terrain such that the microbiome is thriving, because that's going to make us much more healthy and happy. And the reason we don't consume as much as we used to, and it's a fairly recent thing, usually, you tie it into the invention of refrigeration. We had to preserve our perishable food, and we did that through fermenting, curing, and things like that. And those foods contain much, much higher content of the good bacteria and things that we want to consume. There are many environmental factors that are working against us. As an example, we have physical inactivity, unhealthy microbial environment. So if the inner terrain doesn't have a good mixture of bacteria, more the good guys and the bad guys, they got to balance out. Insufficient and or disordered sleep. If a woman has a baby and she does infant formula feeding, that's going to be working against the child. Exposure to harmful substances, highly processed diet, antibiotics and other drugs with antimicrobial activity, excessive hygiene, which winds up killing off the good stuff, chronic stress, and again, a woman who has a birth and she has to do a cesarean section instead of a natural vaginal birth, that also affects what the baby will start at as a microbiome in their life, and that's not a good thing. But we really should be placing more fermented foods in our diet. Besides the fact that they taste great and they really grow on you, no pun intended, there are several great reasons to start making and eating fermented foods. First of all, maybe most importantly, are probiotics. It contains, fermented foods have a wide variety of different strains of probiotics, and we all need probiotics. Helps us to absorb food better. It enhances the digestion process. It's budget friendly. It's not very expensive to start incorporating fermented foods into your diet, and it preserves food easily. So if you want to preserve something, you ferment it. That's the way we did it in the old days. So this is the end of a brief introduction to using fermented foods, incorporating them into your lifestyle and diet and your family. It's very important to get most people on this, and they will all be healthier and happier. So this is Ted from A View to Your Health, wishing you all a healthy springtime coming up, and we'll see you next time.